Hello, everyone. Well, I found another one of these Chinese 44 millimeter padlocks, and they. What's interesting about this guy is I get a false set out of him, and counter rotation. So some of those other ones that I've got with the shackle torn and everything, I'm gonna tear them apart and see what's inside here. It may just be these Chinese blob spools that's doing that, but it acts just like a spool pin, which I find hard to believe because this thing is unshielded. You can easily pick it. I snake raked it. It's not as easy to single pin pick. There we go. That's my false set. See that little false set right there? And then if I go back here and hit this pin, I get counter rotation. See the thumb coming up? I mean the finger, and then open. So I think there's a spool or a spool-like blob in there. These things are super easy to bypass. They're real easy. Only one locking lug, so. But this is what they use on, or had been using on the circuit breakers for the apartment complex. For each one of them. Oh, get back in there. Why don't you find that guy? Once you find the actuator, it's really easy to pop, but now he's being belligerent. I mean, it's almost like a button. Yeah, there we go. Almost like a button you push and it pops open. Alright, so I did that and that. They're also easy to snake open. See if I can get the snake in here. Snake my way around. There he is. Of course, it was easier to snake off camera. You know how that goes. They sense the light or the activity or whatever. Well, he doesn't want to do it now. Anyway, the main thing I wanted to show you was that, there we go, that spool, or possible spool in there. And if it's in one, it should be in the other, so I'm going to go to the bench grinder and I'll be right back. Not on this one, though. This one's still intact and good. I'm going to use a cut one. This one's being stubborn. He don't want to come off yet, so. I'm beating the hell out of him. There we go. Now we're starting to get some movement. Let me pause this so you don't get subjected to all this noise. Alrighty then. It took a lot more to get this off than I expected, but I finally got it off. And something I found is strange. Normally, when you've got the locking bar like this, the lock is not bypassable. It usually has to be parallel with that. But this one has a different type of locking mechanism. See that bar right there? That is what you're hitting when you bypass. Oh, if I can get it in there. So, in this case, even though the Bible's sitting like this, you just go straight in through the keyway. You don't have to go all the way up and push the pins out of the way. You just got to get right in there to that little bar, which I've never seen one like that. I've never seen them do a little bar like that. So That's one unusual thing. Let me go ahead and tear this apart and get to the pins. Finally, I had to pick him open to get me where I could remove the core. Let's see if this guy will fit. If he's too big or about to find out. Yeah, he seems a bit large, but we'll force him in there. Up here is where I hit it with the screwdriver. I'm trying to get the laminate off and got through and hit part of the Bible. Yeah, this guy's friction fit. I've got a smaller one I probably should have used. Alright, there's one. Wow, it's an actual spool. It's not a blob spool. It's an actual spool. That surprised the hell out of me. Oh, I got my follower stuck. Whee! There, rapid gut. Yeah, there are little spools in here. That is amazing. Put the. It's a 5-pinner, and all 5 pins are populated. And it's got master wafers. This thing is just coming up with more and more surprises. Pin 1 had a master wafer in it. That looks like the only one. All these guys are standard. Alright. Yeah, when I was picking it, I got counter rotation, and I was not expecting that. But there are some nice little deep spools in here. I'm missing one. I got 4. I got 4 spools. Huh. I guess that last pin had no driver and no spring. Oh, there's a spring. I'm missing a little pin, and you saw him come out. Nobody jumped off anywhere. It's weird. Unless... yeah, maybe that guy wasn't a master wafer. He's a T-pin kind of a driver. That is weird. Let me get you down here where you can see all this. Come on, focus. Focus for everyone. Look at that. Pin 1 had this, that guy's reduced diameter. He had a T-pin on him. Spool. He's got gunk in him, but that's a spool. I think. That's a spool, and that's a spool. And all standard pins on the bottom. Surprise, surprise on this lock, man. I did not expect to find any security pins. Not in something that's unshielded. Only one locking lug. And Chinese. You know, if you're going to run into spools, you usually run into blob pins. Let me pause this and look at that. All right, so we've got a T-pin in one, tiny little driver, a spool in two, a standard, that's just corrosion, I thought that was a spool, a standard in three, a spool in four, and a spool in five. I did not expect that from one of these single locking lug, easy to shim, easy to bypass, 44 millimeter, you can't see it, but it says China down there. Made in China padlock. So, surprise, surprise. You never know what you're going to get when you go to pick a lock. And that's another one, don't judge a book by its cover, because if you looked at this one, you'd think Chinese. The most I'm going to get is a blob spool that, these were actually machined as spools, not, so that's pretty interesting. Thanks for watching, and happy picking, everyone.